Hello everyone, today we will be discussing about the topic thyroid gland and its anatomy. As everyone of you know, it is the largest endocrine gland and it secretes hormones like T3, T4 and calcitonin, whereas T4 is also known as the thyroxine hormone. The most important functions of thyroid glands are it regulates the basal metabolic rate. These hormones thyroxine helps in the regulation of the basal metabolic rate of the human body. And it stimulates the psychosomatic growth, which means nothing but the psychic as well as the somatic growth, which means nothing but the mental as well as the physical growth of the body. And it also helps in the calcium metabolism. Calcium metabolism is regulated by the hormone calcitonin along with parathyroid hormone. Location: it locates over the lower part of front and side of the neck and anterior to C5, C6, C7 and T1 vertebrae. Coming to the parts, it contains right and left vertical lobes, a connecting isthmus and a pyramidal lobe. Coming to the extent of the gland, these are the two right and left lateral lobes, and these extend from the oblique line of thyroid cartilage towards the fifth or sixth tracheal ring. This is nothing but the isthmus and it lies in front of the second, third and fourth tracheal ring. Coming to the figure, we can say that this is the hyoid bone, this is the right and left lateral lobes, this is the connecting isthmus and this is the pyramidal lobe extending from the isthmus. This pyramidal lobe is connected to the hyoid bone with the help of a ligament called levator glandular thyroidae. Coming to another topic, the capsule of thyroid gland. The capsule of thyroid gland consists of two capsules, which is nothing but the first one is the true capsule and the second one is the false capsule. The true capsule is nothing but the peripheral condensation of the fibrous stroma. That is nothing but this is the thyroid gland and this is the outermost exterior part of the thyroid gland, and this stroma will condense to form a thick capsule or otherwise known as the true capsule. That is nothing but the true capsule, that is the peripheral condensation of fibrous stroma is called as the true capsule. Coming to the false capsule, it is formed by the splitting of the pretracheal fascia. And when you see what is the pretracheal fascia, in the cervix there are three types of fascias. The cervical fascia is divided into three types. It is nothing but the investing layer. The first one is the investing layer, second one is the prevertebral fascia and third one is the pretracheal fascia. And out of which the pretracheal fascia is splitting to form the false capsule, and it after enclosing the gland it is attached to the oblique line of thyroid cartilage and body of hyoid bone in the midline. Also on the medial surface of the thyroid globe it thickens to form a beautiful ligament called the suspensory ligament of Berry, which connects the thyroid gland to the cricoid cartilage. So when we repeat the topic, this is the false capsule and this is the true capsule. True capsule is nothing but formed from the peripheral condensation of fibrous stroma, that is from the thyroid gland itself, whereas the false capsule is formed by the splitting of the pretracheal fascia. Coming to the relations of thyroid lobe, the thyroid lobe contains apex, base, lateral surface, medial surface, posterolateral surface, anterior border and finally the posterior borders. Coming to the relations of the apex, the medial constructor will be present medially and laterally we have the sternothyroid muscle. And next, when we talk to the relation of the base, it is related to inferior thyroid artery and recurrent laryngeal nerve. When we talk about the relations of the lateral surface, it is related to three strap muscles, which is nothing but sternothyroid, sternohyoid and superior belly of omohyoid, and also to another muscle called sternocleidomastoid, whose anterior belly is related. When we talk about the relation of the medial surface, it is related to two tubes, two muscles and two cartilages. Very much easy to study, that is we have two tubes, two muscles and two cartilage. Two tubes are trachea and esophagus. Two muscles are inferior constructor and cricothyroid. Two cartilages and thyroid and cricoid cartilage. When we come to the posterolateral surface, we have carotid sheath and ansa cervicalis. That is a surface related to posteriorly and both laterally we have carotid sheath and ansa cervicalis. When we talk about the anterior border, we see that it is related to anterior branch of superior thyroid artery, and also the posterior border is related to longitudinal anastomosis between superior and inferior thyroid artery. Both of these we will be seeing in the arterial supply of the thyroid gland, which this is the isthmus of the thyroid gland, which means that it is a cut section at the level of the isthmus of the thyroid gland. In front of the isthmus we have two muscles, that is sternothyroid and sternohyoid on both sides, and posteriorly we have another beautiful structure called the trachea and esophagus, and towards laterally we have the carotid sheath and the structures enclosing inside the carotid sheath. This is the investing layer of the deep cervical fascia. This is the pretracheal fascia, whom we saw the splitting to form the suspensory ligament of Berry, the false capsule. And this is the prevertebral fascia. There will be a vertebra here. Coming to the relations of the isthmus, in more detail, we can say that the isthmus has got two surfaces and two borders. Two surfaces are both anterior and posterior, two borders are superior and inferior. The anterior surface is related to strap muscles and anterior jugular vein. These are nothing but the strap muscles. The sternocleidomastoid and sternothyroid are nothing but the strap muscles, and we have also got an anterior jugular vein. Coming to the posterior surface, we can say the second, third and fourth tracheal rings. As we already told that this is the isthmus of the thyroid gland, and this is the trachea lying posterior towards it. Coming to the border, the superior and the inferior border. The superior border is related to the anastomosis between anterior branches of two superior thyroid artery of both sides. And also the inferior surface is related to emergence of the inferior thyroid vein and entering of the thyroidea ima artery. Both of these we will be seeing in the arterial supply of the thyroid gland. Now, coming to the arterial supply, we can say that we have got two important major arteries and two minor arteries. The two major arteries are superior thyroid artery and inferior thyroid artery. The superior thyroid artery is a branch of external thyroid artery, and it divides at the apex into anterior branch and a posterior branch. This anterior branch of superior thyroid artery on one side will be anastomosing with the anterior branch of superior thyroid artery on another side, as we have already dealt in the relations of the isthmus, showing the anastomosis at the superior border. This is the anastomosis between anterior branches to superior thyroid artery. Coming to another artery, which is the inferior thyroid artery, it is nothing but a branch of thyrocervical trunk, which is arising from the first part of the subclavian artery. So we have another branch which is called the thyroidea ima artery, and it is only present in 30% of the individuals. It arises either from the brachiocephalic trunk or could arise directly from the arch of aorta, and it is in relation with the inferior border of the isthmus. So in detail to the property of the artery, we can say that the superior thyroid artery is a branch of the external thyroid artery, as we have already seen, and it accompanies the external laryngeal nerve and supplies the upper 1/3 of the lobe and upper half of the isthmus. That is, the superior thyroid artery accompanies the external laryngeal nerve. This is the superior thyroid artery, and this is the external laryngeal nerve. The 1/3 of the upper part of the lobe, both lobe, and half of the isthmus. So when we talk about the inferior thyroid artery, it is a branch of thyrocervical trunk coming from the first part of the subclavian artery, and it is related to recurrent laryngeal, and it is related to the recurrent laryngeal nerve, and it supplies lower 2/3 of the lobe and lower half of the isthmus. That is, and it supplies lower 2/3 of the lobe and almost half of the isthmus. And when we talk about thyroidea ima artery, it is only present in 30% of the cases, and it arises as a branch of brachiocephalic trunk or could directly arise from the arch of aorta. And we have a set of minute arteries called accessory thyroid artery. This could directly arise from the esophageal arteries and tracheal artery and small minute arteries like that. This thyrocervical trunk gives a branch called the inferior thyroid artery, which is often lying at the posterior surface. About the arterial supply, we have got two major and two minor arteries. When we are talking about the venous drainage, we have got three major veins and one minor vein. The three major veins are superior thyroid vein, middle thyroid vein, and inferior thyroid vein. The superior thyroid vein and the middle thyroid vein arises directly from internal jugular vein on both sides. The inferior thyroid vein arises from the left brachiocephalic vein. This inferior thyroid vein is in relation to the inferior surface of isthmus. We have a small set of vein called the coccus vein, which arises from the right internal jugular vein. This is the coccus vein, this is the right internal jugular vein. As we have divided the gland into two lobes and isthmus, and this lobe is also divided based on the arterial supplies upper 1/3 and lower 2/3, and the isthmus is divided into equal halves both upper half and the lower half, based on the arterial supply. Like this, the upper part, which is supplied by the superior thyroid artery, is often draining to the upper group, and the lower part, which is often supplied by the inferior thyroid artery, is draining into the lower group. The lower group consists of two main lymph nodes, which is nothing but the prelaryngeal and the upper deep cervical lymph nodes. Also, the lower group consists of pretracheal or lower deep cervical lymph nodes. Coming to the nerve supply, so the major lymphatic drainage are prelaryngeal, upper deep cervical, pretracheal, and lower deep cervical. Coming to the nerve supply, we have got sympathetic and parasympathetic supply. The sympathetic supply is nothing but the superior, middle, and inferior cervical sympathetic ganglia, and parasympathetic supply is nothing but by the vagus and recurrent laryngeal nerve. Of this, the sympathetic supply, the middle cervical sympathetic ganglia is the most important and the most supplied part. The thyroid develops first as an endodermal thickening at the third intrauterine life in the floor of the pharynx immediately behind the tuberculum impar. This thickening is often depressed to form a bifurcation called the thyroglossal duct, and this will be held in position by the ultimobrachial body, and at the 7th week of the intrauterine line, the thyroid gland will be present at the normal position, and there will be small remnants of the duct called the pyramidal lobe. The site of the origin of the thyroglossal duct is often marked as a foramen called the foramen cecum. In between the anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3 of the tongue, we can see a foramen called the foramen cecum. Coming to the clinical correlation, first we have the most important disease, that is the goiter. Goiter can be developed as an increase in the hormone or as a decrease in the hormone secreted by the thyroid. Whenever there is an increase or decrease, the thyroid gland will be enlarged. When it causes hypofunction, it causes a disease called cretinism in children and myxedema in adults. So when there is hyperfunction, there will be a disease called the thyrotoxicosis, in which there will be increased sympathetic function, and there will be associated tremors and like other things. Another thing is that nothing but simple or pubertic goiter. It is nothing but a deficiency in iodine. A deficiency in iodine can cause a puberty, goiter, or simple goiter. There will be nothing but enlargement of the gland. To produce more organ, the gland will be more enlarged, and it causes compressive symptoms like dyspnea, dysphagia, dysphonia, like that. Congenital anomalies are nothing but anomalies which has been occurred due to the congenital anomalies are nothing but anomalies which has been occurred due to improper development of the thyroid gland during the intrauterine life, and this can cause associated diseases like thyroglossal cyst or fistula or ectopic thyroid. Ectopic thyroid is nothing but the thyroid gland at different positions, like the thyroid gland will be originated from the oral cavity and it goes into the neck. So when the thyroid gland fail to descend, it is called the ectopic thyroid. An example of ectopic thyroid is nothing but lingual thyroid, where the thyroid gland is located at the base of the tongue or behind the tongue.